can never mention often enough the involvement of Maurice Strong, who is one of the great believers in world government. He now lives in China, of course, which is his spiritual home. Maurice Strong, a great advocate of world government, who is also heavily exposed to the carbon trading industry. And guess what? He was the guy who was in charge of the first great eco summit, the Rio summit. That was Maurice Strong's baby.
And he said, isn't it our job to destroy industrial society? And now, literally every day, I see other UN scientists quoting him.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, we were talking about science just a moment ago. I mean, are you aware of the concept of post-normal science?
Yes.
Post-normal science is the idea that the new science no longer looks for any kind of objective truth. It no longer looks at the data and draws conclusions from the data. Instead, post-normal science is about science twisted to a particular cause. In this case, of course, the cause of man-made global warming. That these scientists have decided, okay, man-made global warming exists. We're not going to look at any more evidence. We've decided it definitely exists because all our theoretical models show it does, so it must do. So what we're going to do from now on is not look at any more raw evidence. What we're going to do is tamper with the evidence so that it supports our cause. This is the new science.
Well, I do believe in a creator, but, I mean, is it not beautiful that it got so much colder right as their 25-year plan, at least that old?
It's fantastic, Alex. You know, we don't have as much money on our side as the opposition does. My God, we don't. But one thing we do have on the side is Mother Gaia, or rather the weather. The weather is really supporting our cause big time. I think you've been having pretty cold time in America, haven't you? We've had our first major snow, in years, and it's been glorious to listen to the BBC and the Met Office and the CRU and all these other people who've been pushing this man-made global warming thing, suddenly trying to have to defend themselves against the fact that outside you've got pretty much polar conditions, you know, and so they have to come up with these phrases like weather is not the same as climate, and this is the kind of extreme weather we can expect to look forward to in the future under global warming. And people are saying, well, if it's warming, how come it's cold? And they say, well, you don't understand the science. You see, the science is blah, blah, blah. Well, it's great.
They said that their peer-reviewed journals were bulletproof, and every time they're examined, every time they will release the data, which is always very suspicious in science, yes, we find them making mistakes. No, it's fraud. Now, and of course, the mistakes are always towards saying it would be warm. It's never the other way. Totally premeditated, as the ClimateGate documents show. But you talked about the enemy within. I wanted to read Marcus Tullius Cicero, Roman philosopher and historian. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable, for he is known and carries his banner openly, i.e. Hitler. But the traitor moves amongst those within the gate freely. His sly whispers, rustling through the alleyways, heard in the very halls of the government itself. For the traitor appears not a traitor. He speaks in accents familiar to his victims, and he wears their face in their arguments. He appeals to the baseness that lies deep in the hearts of all men. He rots the soul of a nation. He works secretly and unknown in the night to undermine the pillars of the city. He infects the body politic so that it can no longer resist. A murderer is less to fear. The traitor is the plague.
Well, there you are. Nothing new under the sun, as the Romans would say. Yeah, exactly. Well, he knew what he was talking about, didn't he? The enemy within is a much more insidious prospect to have to deal with than an enemy plain in view.
But it seems the Brits are waking up to common purpose, and these EU foundations literally taking control of almost every local citizen activist charity. Yeah. I mean, it does seem people are waking up there. Here, Americans are a little bit slower, but I mean, it's horrible.
Alex, I can tell you that the grass always looks greener on the other side. I can tell you that we are actually probably slower to pick up on these things than you are in America. You know, for example, in my Obamaland book, I talk about our Prime Minister Tony Blair, who completely ruined this country through all sorts of human rights legislation, all these measures designed to increase the control of the state over the populace. We did not rebel against him. We did not, we drank the Kool-Aid for 12 years. At least in America, look what's happened after only a year of Obama.
But that's the key. That's the key, though. In the name of human rights, they took your rights.
Yeah, absolutely. But at least you Americans are fighting back.
Well, I mean, the Brits seem to be getting pretty upset. The problem is Gordon Brown, unelected. You can't seem to get rid of him because they manipulate Parliament. Stay there. Yeah. Final segment with you, coming right back. James Delingpole is our guest. I'm Alex Jones, prisonplanet.tv, jonesreport.com, infowars.com. Stay with us. James Delingpole is our guest, writes for multiple international newspapers, best-selling author. We got 5 minutes left with him. James, you were telling me off-air, though, and I mentioned it, but I want you to elaborate. You know, they do this. They give Nobel Prizes to Obama 2 weeks after he's elected, they made the decision then. They make Bernanke Man of the Year. They have Prince Charles, you told me, going to worship the particular facility caught red-handed in ClimateGate. Yeah,
he's gone to tell the people at the Climatic Research Unit that everything's okay. He says, "Well done, all of you," said our future king. So that's all right then. It seems that there was no climate fraud going on after all, because our Prince of Wales says so. It's a bit sad, isn't it? But there are so many powerful people involved in this scam. And, what are we going to do about it? Today, you've got the Spanish Minister of the Environment talking about when Spain takes over the presidency of the European Union, that the fight against climate change and the steps that the European Union must urgently take in order to apply the Copenhagen Accord. You know, the process moves on regardless.
But their own report says that their windmill systems made people lose 2.2 jobs for every...
I love that fact, Alex. Yeah, that's right. For every green job that is created, 2.2 jobs are lost in the real economy. So you can imagine how my heart really leaps when I hear our future Prime Minister, David Cameron, who was supposed to be a Conservative, by the way, talking about how one of his priorities when he gets into power, when Gordon Brown goes, our ailing socialist Politburo chief, when he goes, his replacement's priority is going to be to create green jobs. Yeah.
But that's exactly what Prince Charles, Prince Philip, Ted Turner, Jacques Cousteau, the UN, the individual, Maurice Strong, they all say they want to destroy industrial society.
A Russian oligarch. You know, there are so many plutocrats who are exposed to carbon trading, which is why they are so desperate for Kyoto to be, for the Kyoto carbon trading agreement to be ratified at Mexico this year. And our main job, is for this to be stopped. We've got to derail this gravy train somehow, Alex. Can you do it? Can you help me?
Sir, I'm absolutely trying. We have no future if we don't. But the point I'm making is they're on record saying they want to destroy jobs. They know cold-bloodedly they want to bankrupt everybody, so we're all dependent on their collective estate.
I think there's probably a grain of truth in that. It's a few powerful people trying to divvy up the economy for themselves and crush the ordinary folks like you and me.
Well, that's a grain the size of, the size of Texas. I mean, it's every time I drill down to the base level, it's population reduction. I mean, look at what the Chinese said at Copenhagen. They said global one-child policy.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how many of the people pushing ATW are also obsessed with the idea of reducing population. We've got a guy called Jonathan Porritt, who is one of Prince Charles's advisors, and he is, a rampant deep green, and he is very keen on population control, which will be limited to the number of children we have. There is essentially a strong strain of misanthropy which runs through the hearts of many.
James, I tell you what, I know you've got to go. I've got a 1-minute break. Come back and do about 4 minutes with us to finish up on the next stage of the fight, because I want you to be able to finish on that. What's coming up in Mexico? Stay right there. We'll be right back in 1 minute.